Hello friends, this is Don. I am the Appalachian Rambler. Today we were located in the small community of Bean Station, Tennessee. We are at the corner of Bean Station Cemetery Road and Highway 11W. This area is just a couple of miles past downtown Bean Station. It's located in Granger County, Tennessee, and it's just north of Morristown, Tennessee. We can see we have a little sign here. It says, "Welcome to historical old Bean Station." Bean Station did not get its name because this was a epic area for growing beans. This is an area that was settled by wilderness explorer William Bean after he left his original Tennessee location located in the Boones Creek area. In approximately 1775, Bean moved himself and his family to this area to start new. Bean Station has a very rich but overlooked history. As you can see in the background, you'll see there's beautiful Cherokee Lake. The settlement of Boone Station was originally under Cherokee Lake. When the Tennessee Valley Authority decided to impound the Holston River here and create Cherokee Lake by building a dam, hundreds of thousands of acres were flooded, and the old original Bean Station is located underneath those waters. But a little history was preserved here. We will take a look at this historical marker. Now first though, behind these weeds here tells us a story. This stone marker was in front of the historic Bean Station Tavern, about 2 miles southwest of here. So, there is the historic Bean Station Tavern. In my studies, I have read that the historic tavern was dismantled prior to the TVA flooding this area and relocated into storage with the intention of eventually reconstructing this tavern on higher ground. But unfortunately, during the over 20 years that these materials were stored and nothing done with them, that they deteriorated to the point of being useless. So now we will look at the Bean Station Monument. This was one of the first settlements in Tennessee. William Bean and Daniel Boone camped here in 1775. Indians massacred the first settler, a farmer named English, permanently settled by William II, Robert George, and Jesse Bean, who were granted over 3,000 acres of land along the German Creek for revolutionary services. William II and Robert Bean being captains of militia. The Bean House, located 70 feet south of this marker, formed one corner of the fort and was built over a spring to ensure water for defenders in case of siege. Here was the intersection of Daniel Boone's trail and the great warpath of the Cherokees. Later a crossing Later a crossing of Baltimore to Nashville Stage Road and Kentucky to Carolina Turnpike. Bean Station was a post village and important stopping place for travelers. Whiteside Inn was built in 1811. Bean Station Inn was built in 1814. Was one of the largest taverns between Washington and New Orleans. John Sevier, Andrew Jackson, James K. Polk, Henry Clay, and Andrew Johnson were among the notable men entertained here. Bean Station and Valley was the scene of a battle between armies of Longstreet and Burnside during the Civil War. And the bottom it says erected by Nancy Ward Chapter, Daughters of the American Revolution, Chattanooga, Tennessee, 1929. Okay, let me point this out. At one point, I initially stumbled over this when I saw this. It said this is the Bean House located 70 feet south of this marker. Well, that would be somewhere in this parking lot over here, which is not true because as that original sign told us, this marker has been moved. Okay. Now I have stumbled into a great deal of stuff right here that I did not know this. We have the Battle of Bean Station. It says Confederate General James Longstreet abandoned his siege of Knoxville early in December 1863 and withdrew northwest with Union General John Parke. Following distantly, Parke sent General James Shackelford ahead to Harry Longstreet, who camped with his main force at Rogersville, where he took command of all upper East Tennessee Confederates. When Shackelford camped near Bean Station north of the Holston River, Longstreet decided to turn and destroy the Union force. Before you is the battle site, partly covered by Cherokee Lake in 1940. Some earthworks remain. On December 14th, Longstreet's infantry pushed the Federals into Bean Station, while his cavalry swept around their northern and southern flanks to block any retreat. Federal artillery fired on the Confederates in front of the brick Bean Station Tavern, and Confederate guns replied. Hundreds of rounds were exchanged. After repelling several assaults, Federal troops retracted toward Rutledge. Longstreet learned that his cavalry commander, General William T. Martin, had not delayed the main Federal force. General William E. Grimble Jones held Bean Station Gap, but resourceful Federals escaped west through the hills. Longstreet's commanders balked at an all-out pursuit, citing meager supplies and their men's weariness. As Union reinforcements arrived, the Confederates marched toward Russellville and went into winter quarters. Longstreet won at Bean Station but failed to destroy the Union cavalry. The historic tavern remained intact until 1940, when it was dismantled before the creation of Cherokee Lake. A later fire destroyed the building's materials before it could be rebuilt. That had to be a really, really beautiful building. As some of you have watched on my previous videos, you have learned that I'm also learning during a lot of these videos. And sometimes I get overwhelmed with the information I find during these videos, kind of as an accident. Now here's a kiosk. I had no idea if this existed. But this is here's some really interesting things up on this board. It says, in the spring of 1775, two men stood looking down into one of the most beautiful spots in the world, a picturesque little valley with a myriad of intervening hills appearing like broken waves on an ocean of green. It was a scene of the present day East Tennessee that would long remain in the minds of Daniel Boone and William Bean, who were on a hunting trip. Bean was looking for a new place for his family to settle, and his family would later move this settlement named in his honor. William Bean is recognized as the first permanent white settler in Tennessee. In 1769, Bean settled on the Watauga River. After the Revolutionary War, he purchased a land grant for over 3,000 acres in the Bean Station area and gave this land to his children. As a side note, not all reports of history are correct. Some are embellished. I know a lot of things Daniel Boone did was tremendously embellished. As far as William Bean, recognized first permanent white settler in Tennessee, he is not. There have been at least a handful of documented settlers that were permanent settlers in Tennessee before William Bean. I just want to bring that up for correction here. Now we go down. It says William Cobb built this log home in Upper East Tennessee, where soldiers stopped for rations and gunpowder on their route to the Battle of Kings Mountain. President George Washington appointed William Blount as governor of the territory of the United States of America south of the River Ohio. Blount established his government with his friend William Cobb at Rocky Mount. Cobb would later give Rocky Mount to his daughter and move to Old Bean Station. Rather surprised to see that, because the William Cobb home is located probably no more than about 2 miles from Bean's original settlement site in 1769 along the Watauga River. Daniel Boone became hunting friends of the Bean family. Boone was hired by Richard Henderson, explorer, on June 7, 1769, at which time he set out with other frontiersmen traveling down the Holston River to Bean Station and across Clinch Mountain to the Cumberland Gap. Okay. Buffalo Trace. This Buffalo Trace came from Long Island, Kingsport, down to Holston River to Bean Station. Traveled north and crossed Clinch Mountain at Bean's Gap, north of Cumberland Gap. This path would later be known as the Great Wilderness Road. In some more of my studies, I was rather surprised that it was said that Boone came down to this area to hunt buffalo, and I was never aware that there were actually buffalo in this area. So that's really interesting. Okay, now another thing I have run across here is a little community called Tate Springs. And Tate Springs is actually between where I am right now and what we will call downtown Bean Station. Tate Springs was actually a resort that was constructed shortly after the Civil War, and it continued until the times of the Great Depression. It was known for having mineral springs, and it was apparently quite a really grand resort of its time. They've even hosted such dignitaries as Henry Ford, Thomas Edison, and Harvey Firestone, who those three were known for their legendary, so to speak, camping trips every summer. Tate Springs also had a golf course, which was designed by legendary golf architect Donald Ross. One player to play here was Bobby Jones, who is considered to be one of the greatest golfers of all time. As we go down through here, Jernigan Motor Company at Tate Springs. Here we are with golfers, Bobby Jones and Donald Ross. For a person who used to play entirely too much golf, I'm really surprised at this. This is another learning experience. David Crockett Tavern. Now this is, okay, here we are. Tate Springs. This is promoting the resort itself. Tate Springs campus. Look at that huge hotel in the back. The hotel ended up burning down. We're going to go down the road here in a few minutes and see a few remnants of that. The Tate Springs Resort eventually became the Kingswood School for Children, and it still operates as the Kingswood School for Children. Well, this is really interesting for me, at least. I found out more here than I realized. Now, the Battle of Bean Station, I'm not a huge Civil War buff, or do not know a tremendous amount about the Civil War, and I thought I'd heard of battles of going through here, but I did not realize that Battle of Bean Station was fought by General Longstreet. Coughlin Langley Carmichael House. Well, I wonder if that's still standing. Beautiful old house. See, this is where I go down a rat hole. I just came down here to talk about Bean Station and William Bean settling here, but now I've got a Civil War battle here to report on, as well as the Tate Springs. Church used as a hospital. General Longstreet Museum. Now, I've not researched that. I wonder if that's still standing. Well, this is an entirely different video. I may have to study this a little bit longer. I may do another video just on the Battle of Bean Station. If there's any. Okay, but if you want to find this place, right here, it's at the First Baptist Church of Bean Station. Plenty's parking here. If the church is kind enough to let you park here, and this little area right here beside the park. I think I'll end this little section right here, and we'll go on up a little bit to Tate Springs and add this onto this video. Okay, we've gone back up the road about a mile toward Bean Station, and we have arrived at the site of the Tate Springs Resort. We have another little kiosk out front here with a few pictures. There's a picture of the resort on the mountainside. Here's a flyer for it. And here is it's up called the Spring House. And that is still standing. We're going to go over and take a look at that in a minute. This is the picture, or I guess that may be a painting, the Tate Springs Hotel, 1865, 1963. I guess that's when it burned. That's a beautiful old building, just beautiful. Swimming pool. Here are playing golf. That looks like that was from the 1920s, possibly. What they're doing here. But this is now being operated since 1943 as the Kingswood Home for Children. Let's go up here and take a look. Okay, here we are standing atop the ruins of the old Tate Springs Hotel. Looks like there's a lot of things have been dumped in here last several years. This concrete was basically a roof to the basement, and this, according to the sign below, is the remnants of a dumbwaiter that went from the basement on up to other floors. Beautiful view here. Of course, when this hotel was in operation, Cherokee Lake was not there. There's been some pretty recent fires here. Old couches. Now that's really going down a deep hole. Historical rat hole. I'm an architectural buff, and that is some type of block stone. It's nice. It's like a lot's been chipped off. Room in here. I have to wonder if this is original to the time, would about have to be the time this hotel was built. That's a lot of concrete work right there. That's some extensive work. Might be interesting to study the actual construction of this hotel. Just another rat hole for me to go down. Okay. Tate Springs Resort Hotel. Built in 1865, the three-story Victorian-style hotel was a premier southern resort destination. They could accommodate 600 people. In 1876, Thomas Tomlinson purchased 2,500 acres and the resort from the Tate family and developed it into a world-class health and pleasure resort. Due to the Great Depression, the resort closed in 1941. In 1943, the Reverend A. Wachtell purchased the hotel and resort and 1,500 acres for $3,500. From 1943 to 1963, Kingswood Home for Children resided in the hotel where over 150 children lived, attended chapel and school. In 1963, the hotel burned. What remains is the dumbwaiter on the first floor dining area and part of the basement where the dishes were washed. Well, you can wash a lot of dishes in that basement. I've not read that this was built in 1865. I'll have to check into that. That was kind of violating my common sense a little bit when you consider 1865. The Civil War was not over yet, and it would be a pretty presumptuous time to be building a resort. We've got some historic sign over here. We'll have to read that. Originally constructed in 1888, Spring House was listed on the National Historical Register in 1973. It's a two-story open air space for entertainment and relaxing. It was built on top of the natural springs that run off Clinch Mountain. This spring water was believed to be healing water, and it was enjoyed and shipped all over the world. So this is on the National Historic Register. Well, that's something I've learned. Wow. But it looks like it's sorely in need of some work. Let's go upstairs. Go up here. It's a little, it's a little wavy right here. It sure wants to slope to the outside. If you happen to come here, if you're not really sure of foot, I wouldn't really advise taking this path up through here. This is nice. Railing sure wouldn't meet any present code. Look at those nice big beams. Look at that. Must have run some steel up through there to stiffen those posts. Yeah, you can see what they've done out here. They got them electrical outlets. It's nice. It's nice. Huh. I wonder if this place is used for events or anything. I do know it needs a little restoration work. Not exactly code compliant there for any of you that know anything about electricity. Yeah, these steps are not for the faint of heart. Now this is, I guess, the spring. Doesn't look too refreshing to me. I'd say it's been several years since anybody's taken a bath in that or drunk from it or whatever they do. Here's an old ham water pump which is connected to nothing. Oh, that's a smart one right there. It's a Harvard brand. Okay. There's your house in the background. Well, folks, I'm going to wrap this video up here today. We've certainly seen a lot more than I planned on. And I've learned a lot today. I hope you have also learned a lot and you've enjoyed this little video. Thank you for joining me. I ask that you please like, share, and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you on down the road.